Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Customizing Culture, the Heat Press Nation podcast. I'm your host, Jared Barbosa, and today I am pumped because I have one of the guests that I've been hoping for a long time that we could get on the podcast. We finally got him, Rich from Hustle Ninjas. Dude, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
No problem. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Now, for those of you guys who might not be familiar with Rich's channel, which is, I don't know how you've missed it if you don't know who he is. Hustle Ninjas is huge. Tons of great information on there. Make sure you check him out. But Rich, could you kind of introduce yourself to our audience who may not know who you are?
For sure. So, I don't know. I could be long or I could be short. So
Long, it's a podcast. You could be as long as you want.
All right. So, I guess I started about 2014, 2015. I was a stay-at-home dad. I had a lot of background in graphic design. Been doing that since 2003. Straight out of college, about 2014 or so. Yeah, I was in college late. So, I graduated. I already had my firstborn. I was just trying to figure out a way to make money. Did a lot of side hustles, resold on eBay, flip phones, whatever, anything that everyone's done. Did a lot of graphic design stuff. Eventually I was like, I need something that, we could scale. So I didn't get into the t-shirt business. I got into the vinyl business, and I didn't know it was almost the same as a t-shirt business. So, I bought a vinyl cutter. I started selling stickers online. I was making a few orders here and there. It was like 40, 60 bucks. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But I was having a problem weeding the actual stickers. I was like, man, it's getting stuck to each other. I'm getting upset. I'm like, man, I was like, all right, this is cool. So I sold the vinyl cutter, and eventually I was like, the t-shirt business kind of the same. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do heat transfer vinyl with the vinyl cutter. So I had to go out and buy another vinyl cutter.
You bought it back.
Yeah, I bought another one. But then so it was back to school season. Listed up my first t-shirt on there on Etsy. It was a back to school t-shirt. It did like over $10,000 in sales my first month.
Whoa! So you went from zero to 100 like really quick.
Well, I wouldn't say it was 0 to 100. Like I always had different side hustles, but it was something that I was like, okay, so this one is scalable.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always did I had a lot of graphic design clients because it was like over 10 years worth. So I've always had some kind of income coming in, but it was something that I was like, oh, this is online. This is something that I don't really have to leave my house like that. I could just send off the packages. I'm like, this could really work. But there was a lot of mistakes in those first few months, but I was kind of mind blown. So that was my introduction into the t-shirt business. And so from there, I scaled up the e-com side, the t-shirt business side. Up until about 2019, I started sharing my ventures on YouTube. And from there, that's how I got into this whole digital space of just my face on here since 2019. So, yeah, I don't know where to go from there.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, if we can't, man, dude, I would love to get a little bit more detail on that. So I have to ask, you come across to me as somebody who's been I feel like you're one of the lifelong entrepreneurs. Is that the case? Were you a kid selling candy in elementary school? What was your first introduction to that?
Yeah, I just didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I always called myself a hustler because I didn't know. I always looked at entrepreneur oh, you gotta have this great you gotta be like Elon Musk or something.
Yeah,
you gotta have
selling an app or something.
Cybertrucks. Yeah. So yeah, in high school, I sold t-shirts in high school. I didn't even know. One of my buddies was like, "Man, you selling t-shirts just in high school?" I was like, "Oh yeah." So I used to in high school, I used to sell t-shirts for $20, but I would go to Hobby Lobby. I would buy one of their t-shirts, and I would buy those Avery sheets, and then I would go home and then just print it on it. I would take their design, whatever they wanted, and I would Photoshop it to however they wanted, and then I would press onto a t-shirt for $20. There's a variety of other things I've done, but yeah, I've been doing that since I actually want to say 8th grade. So
whoa.
Before high school, yeah.
So you've been in the hustle game for a hot minute.
Yeah. So I'm 30. I'm 33. I've been doing this since about 12, 13 years old.
Oh, nice. You have me beat. So I'm 35, and I feel like I didn't get into my first official side hustle until I was already I guess it would be no. So me and my brother started a band when I was about 20. And that was like my first experience with like, oh, okay, this is like not a regular job. You know. Of course the band never made any money, but hey.
It's work though.
That was my first lesson in losing money on your
Yeah.
on the side hustle.
Same thing. Same thing.
Yeah. So now, okay, so man, that's crazy. So you're eighth grade, you're selling T-shirts. Like, was it just to the kids at school, or?
Yeah, it was mostly school.
Okay.
I've done other things. I don't know if I should share. It's not drugs. It's not drugs. It's just like,
That's the first thing. It wasn't drugs. Yeah.
all right. So so I have Photoshop skills, right? One of my friends was like, he's like, man, I got an F on my report card. It's like- You're bringing back like old memories now. So it's like,
Oh, dude, that is so funny,
took it home, scanned it for him, turned it to an A, and then he gave me $50.
dude. Oh man, that is so funny. I'm sure that there's kids out there watching. Kids, don't do that. Don't sell a T-shirt. Dude, that is. You know what's hilarious is I'd never thought of that. Because in the cartoons, the kids with the red, they always go with the red marker. They turn the F into an A. They draw a line. I never thought to Photoshop it. Doggone. Because I knew how to Photoshop in high school. I never thought to do that.
So we're a little smart with it too, because like they're the card stock that report cards come on is kind of heavy. We didn't have that. We was like, dang. So when the paper came out of the printer, we just crumbled it up and folded like how they gave it to us. So it's like, oh, we just had it in the book bag, so it's like you can't tell us much.
Oh, dude, that is so funny. Kids, don't do that, but that is hilarious.
All right, next subject.
moving on, man. Okay, so lifelong hustler, right? Stay in the game. T-shirts in high school. So you kind of mentioned right now, but if you don't mind, like, when did you find like e-com? Because you mentioned graphic design, right? So you've been doing that. How did you get into graphic design, and then how did that move on into e-com?
Yeah, so I always did, but 2004, 2005. I still didn't know it was ecom though at the time. So I was posting on MySpace my flyer designs, and that was my first time finding like clients outside of like my local region. Most of my clients were radio stations or club promoters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, in my like local area, because I started off as a like a nightclub like flyer designer, and I also did like mixtape CD covers for like music artists and stuff like that. But then I started posting on MySpace, and then I started finding clients outside of my area, and then from there, that was kind of my first taste, but I didn't really know it because I was still talking to the client like one on one and stuff, and like we will Western Union the money to me, and like PayPal was like almost existing to like 100%. It was still kind of sketchy.
Yeah, we got to pause for the kids. So for all you kids out there, MySpace was like the TikTok and Instagram of a while back, and then Western Union, that was Venmo before Venmos.
Yeah.
We're saying these things. Hey, I'm feeling old right now. We're saying these things, and like the kids, they don't know.
Yeah, so I don't even know. Well, Western Union is still a thing.
Yeah,
We
they're
still
still
send
around.
money.
I feel like Western Union's like more international payments now.
Yeah, because we still use the international sometimes. But like that used to be like the local thing. So we used to use that, and then that was like my first taste of kind of online sales. I didn't really consider e-commerce. But then like I did that for a long time, and then moved out of my hometown, moved to Atlanta, and then it was like maybe about 2 years before I had my firstborn. So I want to say like 2011 or 2012. So at that time, that's when I got on Fiverr.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I had all these flyer designs, all these CD cover templates, and Fiverr at the time it's called Fiverr because everything was $5. Like nowadays, like, you can sell stuff for more than that. Yeah, so at the time I was like, I could sell a flyer for $5. All I gotta do is I only asked for the name, date, and the event name, the location. And then like I was like, all right, so what's your order? And then all I did was took an existing flyer template that I already had, and I changed the name, date, and whatever, and I sent it back to him. I was like, cool. $5. Well, actually, it was $4. They took 20%. But that was my first like few $1,000s, like a month, like online. It was like through Fiverr.
Wow. Dude, that's actually really good. Like, especially for being able to do that like from home, which I have to ask now. Have you ever had like a quote unquote like regular like 9 to 5? Or has it
Yeah,
always
when
just
I
been
was
hustling?
I had one job when I was 16. Well, when I was 16, when I was 20. So when I was 16 years old, it's the cool thing to do. Like when you're 16, you go get a job when you're still in high school, and like, I'm out of school, I'm going
Yeah.
to a job.
You're the
Yeah,
one
so I
you're the
did that
one
for
kid with money. Yeah.
yeah. I think I was 17 actually. So I did that for about a month or two, a month and a half. And then eventually it was like, man, I'm making more money like on the side than I'm doing this. So I quit after that.
Yep.
Um, that was my first job. Then my second job was I worked at a hotel night shift because I told the manager what I did, and he was like, "You can do that while on the clock if you want to. You can still
Oh,
work
okay.
on the computer." So yeah, so I was like, "Okay, that's cool." So I'm getting like two paychecks. So I'm like sitting at the front desk checking people in, and like I'm just still doing my own thing on the computer. And I was like, after about a month, I think it was the same time frame, about a month or two. It was like a month and a half. I'm like, hey, I'm getting tired of this. So I quit the hotel job. And that was it.
and and you always had your side hustle income was always just covered that obviously or more.
Yeah, yeah. I always saw the potential in a side hustle. I was like, man, I can't move up from here. But like with the side hustle, it's like, it almost feels like it's exponential.
Yeah, because it can you could see that. To me, that's the beauty of like online e-com or even doing things like graphic design, because I have a small history. I'm like an amateur graphic designer, but like is that, yeah, you could scale because as your skills grow, like your price tag grows, so it
Yeah.
covers that. Yeah. How did your parents feel about that? Like, were they have they always been supportive of your hustle, entrepreneurship?
I mean, my parents always knew I was a little rogue because like I got my neck tattoo when I was 18.
Okay, that let them know. Yeah.
That's my first tattoo. I mean, that was my first tattoo. I mean, I was also like, I have siblings and they were like honor roll students, AB students, and like I wasn't. I was never like I went to summer school several times. I barely graduated high school. Like I didn't know I was graduating to the last day because I needed to know if I passed a single class. Like I had
Oh
to
wow.
walk up to the teacher. I was like, "Am I?" What's up to the? He's like, "Yeah, you good?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm graduating." So
You couldn't Photoshop your way out of that one.
yeah. So yeah, I wasn't. My parents kind of. I wouldn't say it's just. And then also like another thing is like that instilled in me is like I was raised by refugees. I'm Cambodian, so the thing for my parents is like they just wanted me to be happy, but like well, especially my mom. So that kind of hurt me a little more because I was like, well, I can't go get a job because I'm not gonna be happy with
Yeah.
it. So like I struggled for a long time to find like, all right, so I find something that worked for me. So just in that sense alone. So it's just um my parents are happy now, but at the time it was just it was a battle.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember in 2008, when the recession hit, right? Me, my brothers, my cousins, like none of us had jobs, right? None of us had gone to college, so none of us had jobs. So we're like, yeah, let's start this band or whatever, right? And that was and we did like side jobs throughout, like legit, like dude, I've done it all. I've worked landscaping, I've sold at swap meets, like, and it was all like during that time period. And I remember my parents, they were just like, let's hope one of these things works out, man. They're just kind of like, oh, I know times are tough, but I really wish you would just go to school or something. Like, but now,
Yeah,
now, of course, yeah, now it's fine.
yeah, I remember 2008 too. It was like I don't know what recession is. I'm just like getting out of high school. It's just like
Yeah, no, I was fresh out of high school, so I'm 35 now. So I'm fresh. I was fresh out of high school at that time. So like very little job experience, no higher education. So like, I remember going to interviews for like In and Out, Starbucks, with like these like 40-year-old loan officers who all got laid off, and I was just like, oh shoot, I'm not getting this job.
what?
Yeah, it was wild times. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. See, like I was oblivious. I was blessed.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Man, so okay, man. I honestly, like, I really love your story, dude. Like, so you're growing up out of high school into college. Graphic design's kind of carrying you through, And then you mentioned you got back into t-shirts. Like, how did you kind of find your way? Like, what was the move from graphic design back into t-shirts?
I don't know. It was just like probably because I did a lot of different things over ecom. Because like so, I did Fiverr, and that was like my first taste. But that was with like templated designs that I already had. That was design work. But then I started reselling more because I was like, man, this is bringing me in more like because I was doing $5 sales, and then I was getting into like more high ticket items. I was like, oh man, sneakers are bringing in like $200-300 profit each and stuff like that. So I was like. I was diving more into that type of stuff. I got into Alibaba. I started to like drop ship stuff. I wasn't necessarily drop shipping at first. Like I got into buying stuff off of there, selling it online. Um, a lot of those different things. So I lost the graphic design for a little while.
Okay.
I was flipping phones and stuff, you know. I was like, man, these are bringing in like hundreds of dollars compared to $5.
Yeah.
So I did a whole,
Yep. Math
I
works
did that
out.
for a little. Yeah, I did that for a little while. So during that whole time though, I was in college. Like all right, so the year you have like my whole life on this podcast. So the year, so like when I was doing Fiverr, it was the same year I went back to school. I graduated college, what, 2015 or 2014, something like that. So it's like the 3-4 years previous to that, like 2010 to 2014 and stuff. I moved to Atlanta, so I was born and raised in Columbus, so that's like 2 hours south. Um, but during those times, I was just doing a whole bunch of different side hustles. I was in college, got my graphic bachelor's degree in graphic design. Then when I got out, I was like, all right, let me try to do something with my graphic design skills or whatever. Um, and then that's whenever I was just like, I got into the stickers. I was like, oh, I know how to make that monogram. I know how to make those
Oh
initials.
yeah.
I've seen that everybody. Yeah, monograms was so popular then. It was on
Yep.
the back of everyone's car. So I was like, all right. So that's how I got into the decals. So I was selling monogram stickers. And I was like, all right. So I flopped on that. And then that's when I got into t-shirts.
Oh,
I
so
was like,
that
let
so
me
it didn't
see
work
what else.
out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. It was just like, it was
Okay.
more of a hassle on the fulfillment side than it was the sales. It's like, man, I'm not doing the stickers.
And then you from there you mentioned you went to the vinyl t-shirts.
Yeah, I went to vinyl t-shirts, got into transfers, bought a direct-to-garment printer, bought a screen printer.
Oh, so
Done
you
went to,
so you just went like all in then.
it was probably year over year, but it was like a lot of
Okay.
mistakes. I was like,
So so
yeah,
so so you okay, so you're more like scaled up on it then.
yeah. So 2014, I was like, okay, cool, 10 grand, and then my first year was like a little over 200,000, and I was like,
What?
all right, so let's just,
Hold on. I like how you say that you threw that number out like it was yeah, it was first year 200,000. But
well,
that's pretty incredible, man, especially like dude for t-shirts like some people won't clear 200,000 in 5 years, you know?
yeah, well, I coach a lot of people now too. I've realized the first six figures is not even the like the sales knowledge because the sales knowledge is like everywhere on YouTube. I've realized a lot of it is like kind of getting in your own way. So like just like knowing like oh it is possible or just like knowing the right things to do or knowing when to go all in on particular things. That's because I faced it. That was a lot of the issues for me. And then purchasing the wrong things could be a big killer too. Cause like when we were doing all the fulfillment, I say we because like I also like got my wife involved and got my cousins involved, like
Yeah.
extra laborers. But like a lot of t-shirts we were fulfilling was like one-off designs. And I got into screen printing. I'm like, yo, it says you could do 40 t-shirts in an hour. Like, I bought one of those, and I'm like, oh, 40 of the same t-shirt. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're fulfilling lots of different designs. I'm like, man, it's not for us. It's like, so I already had the equipment and stuff. So it's like, it's a lot of little mistakes that people don't know that they'll make like along the way that like really holds them back. And like, cause like that equipment purchase, like my first screen printer was like 2-3 thousand. And at the time I was like, man, that's kind of a big hit, So a lot of people would like kind of like pace themselves away after like that first like big hit. Like, okay, I made a mistake. Maybe I should just stick to my 9 to 5 and like make secure income compared to making these mistakes again.
Yeah. And that's such a good point. Like, do you still, cause you're a lot more successful now, but like, does that ever tug on you? Like, man, I'm sure I could get a good consulting job here, or I just stick working for myself. Like, is that still an issue for you or not really?
I told my wife, maybe he presentation can take this note too. I told my wife like, when I get old, I want to retire and get a regular job.
Dude, call me in like 20, 30 years. If I'm still here, I got you.
Yeah, I want to. So like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really dawn on me because like, I would have got a regular job a long time ago. I don't like. That's why I got my neck tattooed when I was 18 because I'm like, man, I'm not gonna do this. But like now, I feel like I built enough skill where it's like I can almost go into like so many places where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and offer so many different things.
If you're ever looking, let me know. We got you. Yeah, man, dude. Because what's funny? Because I'm on the opposite side of things. So this is my regular job, Heat Press Nation, and I love it because I get to be creative and do
Right.
stuff, and I still have that security. And so I feel like I'm on the opposite end of that fight. Is like I love the security, but man, I feel like I want to like I still have that entrepreneurial tug. I've talked about it before on the podcast, but like I ran. Oh, let me go back a little bit. So I started here about 8 years ago. Like I never knew anything about t-shirts, and then by like my about my third paycheck or so, I bought heat press vinyl cut. I basically threw it back into the company and bought a bunch of gear, and then I ran a side hustle for about another like 5, 6 years or so. I recently let it slip away from me. Just once I had a kid, like I couldn't balance it all. He's 18 months right now, my first kid, and so I
Yes.
could not keep the 9 to 5. And like I'm very involved at my church, just a lot of different stuff. So I was like, okay, t-shirt business, adios. But so I feel like on the other side of that battle, it's like, oh, dude, I could just start my own business, but like I don't know. So I find it fascinating that you're on the other side of that where you're like, I'm good.
I don't know. I mean, it took some years, you know. I mean, like you have a good job though. Like yeah, you do a lot of fun things. Those are things that
Yeah,
I would like.
yeah, yeah. It is funny sometimes. Like my wife will be like, "What'd you do today at work? You just do arts and crafts all day?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually, today I did."
Yeah, so like when I first started though, about 2000, I don't know if it's 2014 or 15. I have to go back and look at my taxes, but like, cause I know in like my one of my first videos, I mentioned the wrong year. I'm like, I can't even go back because they're gonna be like, oh, you're a liar. But it's like,
Yeah, the
it's like
internet police are real, bro.
I
The
know.
commenters, they know.
Yeah, so at that time, my firstborn, he was born in 2013, so I was a stay-at-home dad though. It was my wife would go to work. She worked corporate for Enterprise. When she got off, I was stay-at-home dad. Then that was when I was focused on my own thing, and then like as that worked, that was when I was fulfilled orders, and then whenever she went to work, I had to take my kid with me to the post office. I'm like, there was just so many things.
Oh man,
Yeah, it was horrible. I wouldn't say it was horrible, but it was like one of those situations
it's
where it was good blessings, I suppose. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, don't you get tired of like some people, like they, I would say it's good blessings because like people pray for like the notification ring on their phone for like a sale or whatever, but it was going off so much. I'm like, man, I can't right now. It's like so it's I'm happy it happened.
yeah, yeah. What I say, it's a good problem to have, having lots of
Yeah,
lots
no
of
problem.
business. So I know a lot of times online, like people pitch like ecom, like be your own boss, work in your PJs, like quit your job that you hate or whatever, right? And they sell it as something that's like just like super fantastic, like make money on the beach. But like, what are like some of the real life issues, or not issues, but like, what are some of the challenges that if somebody is making the move to making their full time career in ecom, working for themselves, like being realistic about it, like what kind of challenges do you think people can expect to face?
So I mean, there's lots of challenges. Like you just don't know what you don't know. That's first. Like you feel like you have the answers, but you don't. Like you're gonna be wrong most of the time. But the one time you're right might makes it good. But like Another thing too is like the first year or so by yourself, self-employed, is cool. You make some money, but you're working. As you want to grow a business where you want to be like more, in the background, you get paid last. Like that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, you got to pay your team first. You got to pay for all this stuff so that they have a place to work first. You get paid last. So, it's a whole different ballgame. Like, it's it's not that I'm not trying to use the word easy, but it's not as glamorous as like when you first step in. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of like things you gotta learn first. It's so many hours. It's like you're probably doing like 80 hours a week, and then most of
Man.
the time, yeah, probably a little less, maybe 60. All
Yeah.
right, but
Wait. So if somebody it wants to quit their job because they're working too much, don't
yeah, they're gonna
don't
be
do it.
working more. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The problem too is like they'll be working in the wrong direction. They don't even know it. Like
Oh
they're
man. So it's like wasted hours.
Yeah, because like if you don't have any friends or the right environment that people who's already been in the same steps as you, um, you're gonna be walking the wrong way for a long time, and then not even know like, oh, I'm supposed to be going this way, and like you're wasting so many hours. So, surrounding yourself with a lot of other entrepreneurs is super helpful, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to find yourself in that circle just because like there's less. Um, Facebook groups help. There's a lot of local events and stuff. I know, like, if you reach out to your county, they sometimes have like events for stuff like that. So that's, I guess, one piece of value you can get out of that. But a lot of times you're kind of gonna feel alone, like towards the journey, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna just hit so many roadblocks and just feel like, all right, maybe I should go back to my nine. There's gonna be so many times where you'd be like, maybe I should go back to my 9 to 5. Like I never had a 9 to 5, but it was like so many times where I'm like, God damn it, I gotta try something else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's glamorous in the end if you do it right.
Right. If you do it right. And,
Yeah.
and kind of speaking to that, like so those are the challenges because we like to be realistic here at Heat Press Nation. Like me when I'm doing videos, like I'm not gonna tell people like buy Heat Press and you'll be rich tomorrow. Like no. But realistically, if you put in the work, yeah, you could definitely go into business for yourself and have that income. So on the flip side of that, on the other side of the challenges, like to you, what are some of like the major appeals of hey, I do ecom, I'm my own boss. Like what does it for you?
Hey, that sounds like bragging or something. I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, like I have like anytime like my kids have events, I could go there. Like I never have
Oh,
to
that's
ask
huge.
for
Yeah.
off of work. I never have to like ask for to take a vacation. It's like the schedule works around me. I don't work around the schedule. So it's like, we're going it's kids have like there's multiple breaks throughout the year. It's like, all right, this is Memorial Weekend. All right, we can go do something. I don't have to worry
Yeah.
if like let me see if I can get off this weekend. So it's a lot of that. Like I've never had an issue with that, and that's probably the biggest blessings. Like I mean, I have like nicer like items and stuff, but like I try not to be materialistic. So it's though that right there probably makes up for it alone.
That's awesome. Yeah, I honestly like I totally feel you on that, and I never understood it until I had a kid, and now I'm like, oh, dude, I just want to be there for everything. Like his little
Yeah.
daycare, like they do all these like special events, and I'm like, I want to go to that. It's like so cheesy and corny, but I'm like, I want to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
In your entrepreneurial journey, have you had any like big surprises? Like, oh, like I thought this T-shirt was gonna suck, and it's the biggest one, or like, oh, we're banking on this, and nobody buys it. Like, I don't know. Like, have you had any like big surprises? Like,
Oh yeah, that's every day. I
okay,
mean, like teacher wise yeah. I mean, teacher wise is different now. I mean, because like when you first start off, you start off with ideas. You don't start off with things that are proven. Like, because like you think you know everything. You think like, oh, I love this t-shirt design. Oh my god, I love this
ah,
idea.
you're calling me
Oh
out, bro.
man.
You're calling me out.
So it's like, yeah, the first few like times it's like, let me put this in marketing. It doesn't sell. Cool. Got my, I want to quit. But I mean, a lot of things we do is different. We work based off of marketplaces like Etsy and Amazon. So a lot of the marketplaces have clues of like what's already selling and stuff, and like you put your emotions to the side and work based off of what winning products are already out there.
Oh, that's
So
so good.
yeah, so and then like you kind of build a team off of that. Like we have a VA who does the product research. We'll send it to the designer, and they design it, and then like you don't even know what's happening at that point. But so I mean, those are more proven strategies compared to you like when you first start off. Like you get your face slapped, just like oh, I have the best idea in the world. I mean, but you shouldn't shy away from your ideas though. If like you love your idea, just keep going for it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Man, you said something so good right now. You said put your emotions to the side. Like, can you expand on that a little bit? Because, like, for sure, 'cause I feel like because in our line of work, and I keep saying t-shirts because we're Heat Press Nation, a lot of t-shirt businesses. Like, I feel like a lot of t-shirt businesses are built on just that, like, oh, dope design, like, and you're like emotional about it, and you're passionate about it. But like, so can you expand on like putting that to the side? Like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, so there's a time and a place for it. So most people who get into t-shirts, they want to start a brand. There's like really two, three business models within the t-shirt space. Someone wants to start a brand, someone who wants to sell marketplaces, t-shirts. It don't matter anything that sells birthday t-shirts, Valentine's t-shirts, Mother's Day t-shirts. They just want to make money. And then number three is like, the B2B side where it's just like, all right, you want 100 t-shirts of this design, I can get it done for you, 200 of this. So there's like most people come in for the brand, and then that's when it gets emotional because it's something that's your idea, and then you hope people will also fall in love with it so that they can also buy it. So a lot of times it's a more of a marketing issue, like you fail to like close the gap in between, like fail to tell your story properly or fail
Oh
to
man.
tell like the message of the actual brand, and then they feel like people don't connect with the actual t-shirt design. Most people just put the t-shirt design on the shirt and then put it out there. And then there was no storytelling behind it. There was no message of the brand or anything. So, they feel like people don't love their brand, but most of the time the design itself don't sell when it comes to the brand side. So, you got to take that time. Brands take more time than the other two because the other two you can jump in and it's like, oh, I've seen success in this business before. Let me keep going at it. So, if you really want to make money, you want to either be patient with the brand side or you want to hop into the other two so that, you can get some money to actually fund your brand.
Nice. Do you have a brand or you just your fulfillment? Like, which one are you focused on?
So I started with a brand.
Okay,
And
nice.
then, yeah, so I started with a brand, and then that's when I was like, God dang, this sucks. That's when I got it. Yeah, there was a little section before I missed from the stickers to the actual selling t-shirts and Etsy. Like, I tried two different brands. There was one that actually kind of worked out pretty decently. I had like a kids clone brand that did pretty well, but I gave that up because I wanted to focus on one thing.
Mm,
But so I did all that, and then now I have a brand, but I did that pretty much to benefit like my two cousins who are working with me. We have a brand called After Hours. We did a lot of pop up shops and stuff like that last year, and I mean it's doing pretty. It's doing pretty decent, but a lot of times like we only sell the design of the t-shirt because like we go out to real events like where we could explain the story of the actual
mm.
product before selling the design.
That's cool, man. Now you've mentioned story twice now. Like that's something that I feel like a lot of people miss. It's like cool shirt, cool design on a cool shirt, the end. Like can you kind of share a little bit like what do you mean by storytelling? Because that I feel like is a concept myself included so many brands miss out on.
Yeah, so our brand called After Hours is like where your darkest hours make your brightest days. So we correlated to anyone who's ever been to like any dark moment in life and just like felt like they couldn't see the other side. So, but we let them know if they like keep on pushing through that they'll be able to see the light on the end. So basically, just telling you that alone is like, oh yeah, I
I want to buy a
represent.
shirt right now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's relatability across just the design itself, and it makes you feel like there's connection to the actual product, and like then they feel like they're supporting you, the brand itself, so that you can continue on to pass this message on to other people. So I mean, storytelling is just powerful. I mean, same way, I guess, how I built like my personal brand. Like I could just when I got onto YouTube, I just kept telling people like, I was a stay-at-home dad. This is how I changed my life. I got into t-shirts. This is how I made my first few dollars. It people come for the heat press, but they stay for the story.
Yeah. All right. So I've heard you mention in some of your videos that you have some of your students that you've helped them build up to 6. And did I hear right? 7-figure businesses?
Oh yeah, multiple.
Yeah. Multiple. Okay. That is so wild in and of itself. So now when you say your students, is this like an entrepreneurship program that you run, or like what exactly does the program look like?
Yeah, so we have a coaching program where we teach people print on demand, or if they already know how to make t-shirts and stuff like that, we teach them how to get sales. Most of the time and during the past few times it was just 5 weeks at a time, but we're kind of revamping and we're doing something that's more of a lifetime of weekly coaching. You also get like my 6 and 7 figure students who are also coaches, so they get more like sessions and whatnot. But we pretty much walk them through like exactly how for our end on the marketplace side. So it's like using proven products to actually get more sales. But I've been doing that for a little while, and then like you mentioned like my students and stuff. Like one student I had was John. He got into my program. It's pretty crazy because I've been on a call with him a few times, and he was like, man, just to remember one thing, man. He was like, if you feel like giving up, he was like, man, you changed my life. Because he was like, man, I told my mom I made my first 6 figures because of you. And then he was like, I didn't even, I haven't even moved out of my parents' house or whatever. Instead, like, I took the money, I'm going to go buy a duplex to rent it out and stuff. So that's pretty, to me, it's like, yeah, I was like, I don't even have a duplex. So it's been pretty crazy. And then like my other student Anita, she's done over $1 million in sales. She lives in Canada. Yeah, she lives in Canada, and I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know this worked outside the U.S. and stuff. So I don't know. It's just been it gives you more purpose than just like, here to make money. It's just like
Yeah. That's insane because like the fulfillment has to be there for you. Like that has to feel incredible to be like literally changing lives. Some people say they have life-changing info. Like you're like legit like changing people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, I try. It's like
I love that you're humble. By the way, that's awesome.
I mean, I try. It's just it keeps you pushing. Like YouTube wise, I'm like, why don't I get like as many views as other people? But it helps you like, all right, look, like I'm appreciative of like where I am now, but then like when you compare, like you can really like micro dissect your own business or whatever, and you're like, all right, well my channel has the same amount of subscribers as this one, it's not getting the same amount of views, and I don't know what it is, but those little stories gives you purpose to like, all right, well a few hundred views is gonna help change someone. I mean, like when you look at 100 people in like real life, it's like like I couldn't even fit a few hundred people in my house,
Yeah. 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 And then speaking of YouTube, obviously that's where a lot of people are finding you, right? That's where I kind of discovered you, of course, is YouTube. Dude, the information that you share, I feel like, wow, it's a lot of like super solid information. You have like your case studies, like, hey, I love that you show your numbers. Like, hey, we made this much on this much on that, because it's real, man. And I'm sure that's what like a lot of people appreciate. But to kind of talk about YouTube though, like, how did that come in? Because like you're already making money here, you're already doing this. Like, why would you bring on a whole other task? Because YouTube is not easy.
Yeah, I didn't know YouTube was a thing really. I just knew like so about between 2017 to 2019. So when I was like making t-shirts, pressing t-shirts in the garage and stuff, like I'm watching people on YouTube, but I did not know of this whole educational side. I did not know. Like I was watching people vlog. My kids were watching people like kid YouTubers and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, man, I was like, I could probably do that. Like, so basically I got into it vlogging, just like things that I was already doing. So I was vlogging stuff that I was already doing, and I wish I named my YouTube channel just like my name. I thought like you were supposed to name it like like my kids were watching something like like Kid Ninjas type stuff. I'm like, oh, and then like every introduction was like towards the channel name. So like in my first few videos, it's not on the channel anymore. It's like, what's up, Hustle Ninjas? It's
Yeah.
like, I didn't know. I thought the audience was supposed to have a name. And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, but I didn't really get it. And then like I just post a few videos here and there. I'm like, oh, we're getting some traction. So it was something that was like kind of fun to do in the beginning.
Yeah. And then it just took off.
It didn't really take off. I did it for a
Oh no?
year. Yeah, I did it all 2019. Really, no takeoff. I did get lucky during COVID because just the COVID spiked a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. But it was helpful that I was already there before then, so
Yeah.
that was pretty helpful. So, it wasn't like a huge takeoff the first year. It was probably a 0 to 100, no, 0 to 1,000 subscribers the first year, and then 2020 was like 1,000 to 100,000.
Oh, wow. In just that 1 year.
Yeah, or I want to say like
Nice.
80 or 90,000 or something, but it was yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like
that's a ton. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was like a lot of COVID influence though.
Yeah. I think I know we saw some of that spike too. I don't know exactly what the numbers are. We just barely hit 100K, I think, last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But
business,
but
what y'all did.
yeah. Yeah. For us it's always been a little bit funny cuz we're a corporate channel. We're a business.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the big advantages that like independent creators have is
Oh, I
that like
see.
yeah, you get to like I don't know. I think people just take to the content a little bit better. They're a little bit more trusting.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like kind of, it feels like it's more organic or something.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, like I try to make ours as organic as possible, but we are a business, so it's just
Yeah,
like
no,
it's
I
a little
get it.
different. Yeah,
I get it.
dude, I love it, man. So now I got to ask, like, it's like what's in the future? I want to say for Hustle Ninjas, but now I'm like, do I call it Hustle Ninjas? Like,
No, you can't. I have my trademark in Hustle Ninjas.
there we go. So like, what's in the future for like for Rich? Because I noticed on Instagram you're not Hustle Ninjas.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of different things. So I'm probably gonna get back into coaching this year. I took a little bit of break from it, just to see like how much demand there was, but lots of people are just asking about it, so I might do a lot more of that this year. Also, I do have like I opened something else up that I did for a few of my creator friends. So I offer a video and design subscription service for them. So a lot of people who struggle to get like 30 reels out a month, or people who struggle to get their videos edited, I do a lot of that, especially for like my small business owner friends who do t-shirts and want to get into the content side. Because it's just a given. Like everyone knows right now, like content drives you more traffic, and then
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
traffic, you get more leads, you get more sales. So, I got into that side. That one is kind of more closing it, but it's more like a friends and family referral type of thing. But that's been pretty cool too, because that was something I had to solve for myself once I got into YouTube. I'm like, I can't edit every single video. I can't turn in all this stuff into reels. I can't create my VSL pages and so on. So, I had to find a team to do that. And then I was like, oh, this works for me. It could work for other people. It was a solution. So, based off of those two things, those are like kind of my two primaries. And then like after hours, just kind of working in the background.
Yeah, man, that's fascinating, dude. I feel like with everything you say, like I'm pulling like these new nuggets out. but you say so you're saying how like content drives business. I think what happens is what I've observed is that a lot of people like they're like, okay, I got my shirt shop going. Now I want to make a YouTube channel so I could be big on YouTube. But what you're saying is like the content is really just to keep jobs going through the shirt shop or the shop.
I mean, it depends. Like whatever you have to offer, it's a form of traffic. It's a form of people to trust who you are. Like, hey, you might have a Google listing. Most t-shirt business owners I know, they're ranked on number one as a Google search locally, so they get a lot of sales from that. But where else can you drive traffic? Everyone knows that visual presence help with trust. And then just think about the amount of people that go to that Google listing and then they fall off. How are you going to retarget them and then actually make them trust you? That trust factor is huge.
Can you talk a little bit more about the trust factor? Because it's so true, and I think people, without even realizing it, we make our purchase decisions based on, do I trust this company? Like, what are things that like small businesses can do to kind of increase that trust factor?
I mean, getting in front of the camera helps out a lot. Just because, like, I don't know who says the quote, but it's like, people buy from people, not from companies or whatever. So just knowing that there's a person on the other side lets them know that, oh, it's like a human interaction. So it's more of a transactional thing than it is just like, oh, let me sell you something. It's more of like, okay, this is what I have to service you and your money, so that's the exchange, instead of like, all right, let me give you money to so that you can make profit.
Dude, that's so good. Have you found that like the businesses, like the students you work with, right? The ones who do a little bit better getting that trust, does that usually lead to more like recurring buyers, repeat buyers?
I mean, I don't really teach my students the trust side. I mean, I don't really teach them like the content side and stuff.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's all like marketplace stuff, so it's already proven products that already sell. So we just like kind of work off of organic traffic.
Got it, got it. Dude, very cool. How many students would you say, or if you're comfortable sharing, but how many students would you say you've gotten to even five figures, but like five, six figures? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I know for a fact over like 20 people who's done over that amount. But like anytime, like, so we don't send out emails as much as other like companies and stuff, like asking for testimonials. I just let them like, reach out. They do their own route outreach. Like sometimes I post a story, like one random person be like, "Yo, you helped me get to 40,000." Like it was like the other week or something. It was like,
wow.
"You helped me get to 40,000 this month." It was December, but it was like, I'm like, I've never even spoke to you. It's like I don't. It's like yeah. I
They're
like.
just pulling from your YouTube?
Well, some of them have like one of my previous courses where they could get in
Oh, okay.
from before. So I'm like, yeah. So I don't, like even like my six and seven figure students, they didn't reach out the whole time, and so like they already crossed like over. John didn't reach out till he hit 700,000. He's done over 1 million this year. But I'm like,
Jeez.
okay, so
Yeah.
there's lots of students, but I know like we've helped over a few thousand people for a fact, because I know the
Wow.
amount of people who signed up for it, but I don't know the exact stats on like people's sales number wise. I
Yeah.
do have a
Man,
testimonial sheet if you want to go over it, but it's,
yeah. Yeah.
we don't have
Man,
to do
that's
that.
incredible, dude. So like, I think it's so awesome that like you're just building people's lifestyles really. Cause like these businesses, that's how they're sending their kids to college. It's how they're buying their houses, man. I think that's like really awesome. That like how much of a hand like you have to play in that. That's super cool.
Yeah, I try.
All right. So if someone is hearing, they're watching this podcast, they're like, dude, like I want to go down that path. Maybe they've been considering like e-com as like a side hustle, hoping to turn it into a main hustle. First piece of advice, obviously they want to go follow your channel, right? But like what other advice would you want to give somebody, like a heads up, like, hey, be ready to do this?
I mean, a lot of it for me is like be ready to work, unless you have
Mm,
money to like fund into like someone else who's gonna work for you. Most of the time, that's not the case, because most of the people want to do it because they want money.
yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of time is like be willing to like put in the work and making sacrifices. Like the first year or so, when I had my newborn, like there was times where like I couldn't take him to the doctor. My wife had to take him to the doctor. A lot of parents want to both be there and stuff. So it's like you're gonna have to make those little sacrifices of not being able to go to every birthday event or going out every single weekend, or things like that. Like I used to party a lot. Like it went from like partying a lot to like zero partying. So, it's gonna be a lot of sacrifices that you're gonna have to take those first few years, and
Yeah.
then be
But is it
willing
worth
to
it?
admit that you're wrong. I mean, yeah, for sure, but there's a lot of people who like give up along the way. But so
Mm,
just you don't know what could have been.
yeah. Man, that is good stuff. Okay, before we let you go, I gotta ask, like, what's on the horizon? What's coming up? Is there anything, or I should say this: is there anything you want to plug? Let people know where to find you.
Yeah, I mean, they could follow me on YouTube at Hustle Ninjas, or they can follow me on Instagram at rich_khun.
Awesome. I love it. Dude, Rich, seriously, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy, dude. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit here and talk with us. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Customizing Culture podcast by Heat Press Nation. I'm your host, Jared Barbosa. And today, our very special guest, Rich from Hustle Ninjas. Rich, dude, thanks again, man.
Thank you.